afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world today. Obviously, the big news, if you missed it, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged officially. It has nothing to do with business, but since it's everywhere on the feeds, even Fox Business, CNBC Business has a big thing about it. I figured I'd bring it up here too. You got to fit in with that side. And folks, we'll get you what really matters to you here. The Market Watch, stocks we're paying attention to, and the local and national stories that you need to know around your portfolio and, of course, your money out there in the business world. And with that, let's get started with the Market Watch. And look at the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift news not moving the market very much today, folks. President Trump is currently holding a cabinet meeting at the White House. Everybody's kind of, just watching that right now. Everybody's waiting for NVIDIA's earnings to be released after the market closes here as well. Then we got this Fed situation going on, right, with the one federal commissioner there, Lisa Cook. President Trump is fired her. We got that story coming up for you, and says she will sue over that side as well, and we'll have that story coming up for you. But all of that going on, and the market is just there today as of right now, right? Dow Jones right now is down to 37 points to 45,284. The S&P 500, well, it's even right now, 64.43 for the S&P 500. The Nasdaq's up 17 points right now. Well, it's at 21,466, and that's the big one. NVIDIA earnings are going to move that market depending on how that comes out today. The Russell 2K, it's up 16 points right now to 2360 for the Russell 2K. And then Bitcoin still faltering here. In terms of faltering, well, it's not up in that high 1,819 range. It's down here to 110,092 here today for Bitcoin. So faltering in terms of that, recent history side of things for Bitcoin. Obviously, 110,000 still pretty good for it, but if you bought a lot of stock there in that 119,000 range, well, obviously it's a big concern right now where that has been trading here lately for that Bitcoin, especially this week. Stocks that we are paying attention to right now. Well, let's look at our old friend here. Well, old friend that decided to, go. It's like summertime around school. You leave school and you dress one way, you act one way, and then you come back and you're all gothy or something, or your friend's all gothy, right? Yeah, let's look at Cracker Barrel Old Country Store. How about that analogy, folks? How terrible was that? Well, it's up 5.11% right now. Well, 7 straight days of losses due to that backlash there and his new logo and rebranding. Well, this 5.04% up today kind of breaks that 7 straight days of losses for that side. Interesting enough as well, President Trump actually weighed in on Cracker Barrel, and he agrees with most of the United States, besides the CEO and a couple of the board members who say we've had overwhelmingly positive response to our deal. Well, the rest of the world is shocked by that news, but President Trump said the restaurant should return to its old logo. Even the president, who's probably never stepped into a Cracker Barrel a day in his life, says that should go back to the old logo. 5.11% up, 7 straight days of losses. It looks like it's going to finish up here today as well. Now let's look at another one we've paid attention to a lot lately, Paramount Skydance out there. Just an update on this one because they're actually up 21% here in August. Well, today they're down 3.70%. Obviously, giving back some of those gains out there, but I just wanted an uptick here because they've had a very successful, right, with announcing that the UFC was moving over to Paramount Plus in 2026, and now it turns out it's going to start having it here in September or October, I think, of this year, so a little bit earlier. That, the merger happening, been up 21% here in August. Well, finally a down day, I guess we should say, here for Paramount Skydance. So just an update there. And then the big news on the market so far today, EchoStar. If you don't know EchoStar, parent company to not DirecTV, the Dish TV. Thank you, Stephen, for pulling that out. That's this company here. Well, they are up big today, 74.70% here today for EchoStar. AT&T said it would buy some wireless spectrum licenses from EchoStar for $23 billion. AT&T said the transaction should close sometime in mid 2026. AT&T, interesting enough, no graph on this, but they're down about 1% here today on the news that they're buying these licenses here. And, and it's kind of look into this story, and this is going to be our first story of the day before we get into some tariff news and things like that. But as I just told you, well, AT&T's buying those wireless spectrum licenses from EchoStar for that $23 billion, right? Well, it's all, AT&T is trying to boost its network. Obviously, very competitive market there for AT&T, and this is how they're eyeing to do it. But the history behind this is pretty interesting. And back in June, Donald Trump, as president, prodded satellite communications and Dish TV parent, EchoStar there, and the Federal Communication Commission, the FCC chairman, to reach an applicable deal over the fate of the company's wireless spectrum licenses. The deal does mark the latest major investment by AT&T because they're trying to accelerate its fiber and 5G network build-out because the wireless market is obviously getting saturated if it's not already there. But also, they need to increase their internet side of things because internet usage obviously surging here with all the devices and more opportunities. Back in May, the FCC did tell EchoStar that it was investigating the company's compliance obligations to provide 5G service here in the United States. They basically questioned EchoStar's build-out extension and mobile satellite service at that time. Back in June is when Trump met with EchoStar chair and later called the FCC chairman to take part in that meeting. EchoStar had been seeking to shield its cache of wireless spectrum licenses from the threat of revocation there by the FCC. Yeah, why hold on to them when they're worth $23 billion, right? EchoStar did say the AT&T deal is part of its ongoing efforts to resolve the FCC's inquiries into those licenses. If you remember, also with EchoStar, the DirecTV, their competition, the U.S. satellite TV provider, DirecTV, well, they terminated its agreement to acquire the EchoStar satellite television business last year, which would have included a Dish TV, but it was all because of a failed debt exchange offer between those two parties. So EchoStar, $23 billion, up 74% here as of right now, as we just showed you on the screen. Now let's go to more governmental stuff that affects business out there. And we know President Trump has already made tariffs a key component of his presidential term here. Well, now he's threatened to tax significant extra tariffs on exports to America from countries with digital taxes and regulations. We definitely saw him pull a power move on Canada over this as well over the last couple months. Here's what he put out on True Social, because anytime the president speaks, it's got to go on True Social. Quote, as the president of the United States, I will stand up to countries that attack our incredible American tech companies. Digital taxes, digital services legislation, and digital markets regulations are all designed to harm or discriminate against American technology. Of course, all on True Social. He also said, quote, they also outrageously give a complete pass to China's largest tech companies. This must end and end now, in capital letters, he exclaimed there on True Social. So also, in addition to this threat of the tariffs against the offenders here on the digital taxes, well, President Trump threatened to impose restrictions on the export of U.S. technology. So digital taxes are simply a country will charge a tax on, let's say, Apple, on the business that they do in that country to generate the money side of things. We saw the president react negatively to Canada when they were doing that. And so now he's putting that quote-unquote threat out to other countries. They're on True Social as well. And then, yes, the big news here, not affecting the market. Everybody's kind of waiting to see how this turns out. Folks, it's not going to turn out anytime soon. It's going to go through a court process. But we alluded to it at the top of the show before the Market Watch. This is about President Trump saying that he had fired the Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook. It is a unusual move. It is an unprecedented move, some would say as well. And it is a definitely an escalation of President Trump's attacks on the Federal Reserve and their independence over the refusal to cut interest rates. This is an interesting move, and we'll have to see where it goes because Trump put out a termination letter to Cook. He did post it on Truth Social. Shocker, shocker. It cited allegations by the Federal Housing Financing Agency director. That's Bill Pulte. You guys know that. That they had made that Lisa had made false statements on applications for home mortgages. I could spit the words at her. Basically, she falsified documents to get mortgages. The letter comes 4 days after the Department of Justice said it would investigate Cook because of Bill Pulte's claim as well. Cook, of course, responded in a statement yesterday, and they said, quote, President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law, and he has no authority to do so, unquote. She went on to say, I will not resign, and I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy as I've been doing since 2022, was her official statement out there. Interesting enough, Lisa Cook, first black woman to serve as a Fed governor at that time. Cook was appointed by, of course, Joe Biden there in 2022. She's hired a high-profile attorney. That name is Abby Lowell to represent her. She has not been charged with any crime at this time, just the allegations here as well. Trump's removal of Cook, well, it not only could be challenged in federal court, it's going to be. They said that today as well. And the Supreme Court is going to eventually rule on whether the firing is legal. If you don't know, Congress curbed the president's authority to unilaterally fire a Fed governor. And that old, we all remember this, right? The Federal Reserve Act of 1913. It seems like yesterday they argued over passing that or not. That law, by the way, from 1913 states that the president can only fire a federal governor, quote, for cause. The problem is it doesn't elaborate on what constitutes a cause firing, but it has been historically understood that it means malfeasance or dereliction of duty are the two reasons for cause out there. So, folks, this is a big story. The market obviously is going to be paying attention to it. Lisa Cook has said today, her lawyer has said they will definitely sue over the firing from the Fed board. In another interesting side note, the Fed was asked today, the Federal Reserve, whether Lisa Cook is at the office after being quote-unquote fired yesterday. They did not say if she was there or not, which tells me she's there, right? But we'll have to see where this goes. Interesting enough, what happened, you saw the market earlier in the Market Watch. We'll do another one coming up here. But short-term Treasury yields did fall today. Long-term yields did go up after the news of Lisa Cook's firing there on the Federal Reserve Board. So interesting movement here on the market around this story. It's not going to die anytime soon. And so if she's not there, right, if she's quote-unquote fired while it goes through the court process, we're going to have one less federal chairman there voting on rate changes here coming up as well. So interesting times around the Fed, and what's it going to do overall with the market is the big question. And you guys know MP Materials, right? We talk about them here. They're the company that has the rare materials mine over there in California. Well, now we have a couple other ones starting up, but that's our main one here in the United States. And they're back in the news here because prices of two rare earth elements that are needed for magnets, and super strong magnets is what they call them. They've surged, the prices here have surged to the highest in more than 2 years. Well, it's because MP Materials stopped raw material exports to China, which is the magnet maker leader here in the world, right? So they stopped shipping them to China, and they've, basically because they say their demand has gotten so big. We all know this. We tell you here at McCollum on Business that China dominates the global supply chain of rare earths. 90% of refining capacity to around 70% of mined output there in China. The U.S. obviously is fighting back a little bit here, including signing that deal with the biggest producer here, the MP Materials, in July to refine its output domestically. MP shipments had in the past 3 years led 7 to 9% of China's oxide production from mine output of rare earth neodymium mine. I know, folks, I'm going to screw up these names, but it's a neodymium is what it's really called. And then also a pasiodominium. That's the NDPR. We're just going to call it by its signal. Yeah. Those are basically needed, and they can't be done for magnets that power electric vehicles, wind turbines, and defense equipment. Specifically, you need those two elements out there as well in order for that to happen. So the Chinese price of the NdPr oxide, well, it's the benchmark in the world and considered the benchmark. Well, it's jumped to 632,000 yuan per metric ton, which is basically about $88 per kilogram. That is the highest and the largest number here since March of 2023. It was $63 on July 9th per kilogram as well. Its 40% rally is what it's turned out to be, and several years of weakness will boost prospects of mine projects seeking the investment outside China because the West is trying to obviously get off its reliance on China for these rare earth materials as well. Boosting the West rare earth output, well, became more urgent, as we know, especially in President Trump's eyes, because China clamped down on exports in April because of that trade war with the United States. And it did lead to some auto plants being shut down because they couldn't put together what they needed to put together. The U.S. government announced a groundbreaking deal with MP last month, as we've told you here at McCollum on Business. It basically stipulates the company halts shipments to China. It also offered price support to MP for that NdPr it produces based on 110 per kilogram is the rate the government said they'll protect them at. And that basically at that time was twice the Chinese price. So don't ship it to China, and we'll pay you to not ship it to China as a government, is what the U.S. government has said here. So that battle continues there with those rare earth materials. And another thing, we'll leave Earth a little bit here. Well, we'll at least go up into the sky here because Southwest, right, they're making a lot of changes lately. And now they're going to assigned seatings. Well, for you plus-size travelers out there, heads up, because on January 27th, that's when flights or assigned seating are going to start, quote-unquote, taking off, if you'll excuse the pun there. Plus-size passengers, according to Southwest, quote, should proactively purchase the needed number of seats prior to travel to ensure the additional adjacent seat is available, unquote. That's according to Southwest's website here this week, actually. In order to advise potential customers considering whether they need an extra seat, Southwest's website lists the seat widths on their Boeing 737 models that flies. So it's going to be 15.5 inches at the narrowest to 17.8 inches at the widest. The airline does say the definitive seat boundary is the armrest. So don't fight over that armrest. It's a boundary, folks. So Southwest said, quote, we are updating many policies as we prepare our operations, employees, and customers for assigned seating on January 27th, 2026. To ensure space, we are communicating to customers who have previously used the extra seat policy that they should purchase it at booking time. That's a letter sent from Southwest Airlines to a statement at Fox Business. Passengers who purchase an extra seat, well, you may be eligible for a refund if the passenger flight departed while having at least one open seat on the plane, or if you have passengers traveling with on-space available tickets. Both seats purchased are the same fare class, and the refund request is made within 90 days of the date of the flight. So Southwest is telling you to buy the seat at booking to ensure the seat next to you is available, and they're telling you you'll get a refund if a seat is available on the plane. Good luck with that, right? It's going to be very difficult. Southwest had previously encouraged plus-size passengers to purchase two seats, but a lot of people didn't. They just got on and people wouldn't sit next to them, and then it would just stay open if there were seats available. But also they had fewer refund restrictions back then if you bought two seats and nobody sat in the seat, etc. So Southwest getting more restrictive on the process, but also telling you better buy that if you want that seat next to you at that time. So heads up there. And then the business of sports is an expensive one, folks, depending on what side you are on. And Caitlin Clark is Nike's newest signature athlete. Of course, the second-year WNBA star is expanding the is expanding Nike's partnership with the WNBA star Caitlin Clark. Nike did come out and reveal a new logo of interlocking C's to represent the Indiana Fever player. Clark's first signature shoe and apparel collection will debut next year. Her logo collection will actually launch on October 1st. So the first thing to come out will be a T-shirt in the Fever's colors. So apparel out in October, shoes and everything afterwards. The shirt's going to be yellow and navy blue, which is the Fever's colors, who she plays for, coming out here in September for that October 1st release time. Quote, Nike's signature roster features all-time greats, and I am incredibly proud to join some of the best athletes in the world. That's what Clark was saying in a statement. She went on to say, quote, I'm excited to share the first look at what we've started to create together. Clark does become the third WNBA player to get a signature deal with Nike. Asia Wilson and Sabrina Ionescu were the other two that got that signature deal. Wilson's shoe and apparel are coming out later on this year. But there you go. And I made fun of this a little bit on the main event earlier. Of course, 8 to 10 a.m. It's on demand now or a free podcast. I made fun of this logo a little bit just because, like, a 12-year-old could have come up with that logo. It's not iconic in my... Iconic to me is the Jordan Jumpman logo. That's just somebody throwing some C's together on Word, and it baffles me. With the amount of money they spent to get that logo, it just baffles me how big that is out there. So, folks, when we come on back here to McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling. We'll look back at the market. More stocks that we're paying attention to right now. Well, we're going to look at Eli Lilly, Brown-Forman, basically some alcoholic stocks, and then Constellation Brands also. Plus local stories you need to know. And if you play the lottery, if you don't play the lottery, stick around till the end, folks. Might want to start playing this week. I'll tell you why. Come on back. It's McCollum on Business. Back here, McCollum on Business Tuesday edition. You just saw a commercial there for the pit stop coming out. New episode for this week. Of course, playoffs are set for the Cup Series after last weekend. Truck Series has already been set. They have some time off. Racing again this weekend. Xfinity Series has a couple races to go before their playoffs are locked in. But who's going to lock in is the big question coming up. So the pit stop on demand here at Robat TV tomorrow. It'll hit, of course, free podcast for that as well. Follow them at the Pit Stop Talk on the social medias. Search on Podbean for the free podcast at the Pit Stop Talk as well. And then there's a link there on X there. It's pinned at the top for you to find that free podcast. New episode coming up tomorrow afternoon. Of course, the main event, 8 to 10 a.m. here as well, live and in person there from 8 to 10 with me and 17-year NFL veteran Dale Hellestree. Of course, on demand now at Robat TV on the free podcast system as well. Any podcast system you listen to, you can find that there as well. Give them a follow at TME Sports Show. And, of course, if you want to do a show here, just reach out. If you've ever thought about it, you're an old seasoned pro at it, well, we'll help you out and get it going, just like we're doing with the Real Matrix and the Angry Patriot. Get you all set up as well. All you got to do is reach out, either the text line here for my shows, 623-252-6670. Of course, at TME Sports Show or at the Pit Stop Talk, SMAC 500. Love to talk to you and get you up and going. And with that being said, let's hit up the Market Watch. I don't know why I said hit up. Let's check out the Market Watch, right? The Dow Jones down 17 points right now. The S&P 500's up 4. NASDAQ, well, waiting for NVIDIA's earnings to come out after the bell. NASDAQ's up 28 points right now. Russell 2K's up 15 points as we speak. And then you got Bitcoin, 183 points up today, which can disappear like that in Bitcoin. But the bigger number there is the 110,310 for Bitcoin here today, here on the market. So we've seen quite a lengthy fall here for Bitcoin over the last, especially since the weekend where it was down in the 111,000 range at that time. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, well, Eli Lilly's the first one we're going to look at. And they're up 4.44% right now. Eli Lilly, obviously, pharmaceuticals, pharma is what they deal with. They've got a new weight loss pill, which the race, right? You've got the shots, the Zepbound, Wegovy. Those are shot-based weight loss drugs. Everybody's racing to get a pill version for it. And the first one to come out with a pill version that passes all the tests is going to be a very wealthy customer. Well, Eli Lilly's weight loss pill, it's called Orforglipron. Orforglipron. Just name it something easy, folks. Well, it cleared another late-stage trial is what they did. The higher dose of the pill helped patients lose 10.5% of their weight in an average of 72 weeks at that time, compared to just 2.2% weight loss in a placebo group and over that 72 weeks. So big difference there. Positive news. It is a successful late-stage trial there for this weight loss pill that I'm not going to try to announce again. Well, big news here for Eli Lilly. 4.45% up right now. Now, let's go a little whiskey drinking, right? A little whiskey here on a Tuesday afternoon. Brown-Forman is the first stock we're going to look at in terms of alcoholic beverages. Well, they're down 3.87% today. They announced Chief Financial Officer, 30-year company veteran Leanne Cunningham, is going to retire on May 1st of next year, 2026. This stock, well, it's been down. You see 3.87% right now. It's down over 20% if we look at it from a macro level here in 2025, 20% down. The main reason, tariffs is why this stock, this sales is down. Stocks are down as well there, but 3.87% down today with the Chief Financial Officer retiring next year. And then let's look at Constellation Brands. We'll switch to the beer distributor group. We look at these guys quite a lot here as well. Down 2.90%. I can tell you the industry as a whole here today is down, and that's why we're looking at these two. Bank of America downgraded here Constellation Brands to underperform. It was at neutral before. So they say Constellation sales and margins are going to be impaired by further downside potential in beer industry consumption. Beer specifically is not being consumed by the younger generations as much as it is from the older generations out there. It's been a stress on these stocks, and at least according to Bank of America, downgrading Constellation Brands is going to continue to happen according to their Bank of America. So those alcoholic brands are continuing to struggle out there as we continue to look at them here in 2025. Let's do some local stories here. And, you know, you live in Stafford, right? And you want to move, you want to get to Phoenix for some reason, either to take another flight somewhere or maybe just get halfway across the state without the, 3.5-hour drive. Well, the Stafford Regional Airport, well, it's a critical connector for Graham County residents in that area. Well, if I can talk, holy cow. They've been able to fly to Phoenix's Sky Harbor International Airport as well. A couple times a day is when it started. That's a short flight, right? But now Stafford Airport officials say funding is needed in order to continue that service. So it began as operating 2 daily round trips to Phoenix back in January of this year. They did get $800,000 from the U.S. Department of Transportation. Additional funds came in from the city and Freeport McMoran, of course, the mining company that is huge in that area there. The airport had to cut back to just one daily round trip after so, and it's now asking the city for more than $650,000, citing the high cost of operating that flight. Airport manager Cameron Atkins did speak at a recent state transportation board meeting. This is what they said. Quote, airline service not only connects rural communities to global markets, and they do that by promoting tourism. It also promotes economic development, which we desperately need in a majority of Arizona's small communities. He went on to say most of our airports around the perimeter of the state do not have air service, and there's currently no state leadership to centralize air service development efforts. The article talks about how Sedona is trying to get airline service there, place. Williams trying to get airport service as well down in Phoenix. I know Flagstaff has it. So it is a focus here, but man, that's a lot of money to get a flight daily from Safford to Arizona, and it's kind of a lengthy drive, right? To get there from Safford to Arizona. I know it's 3.5, 4 hours. I want to say 3.5 hours, maybe. It's a long way to get over here, especially the roads and everything. So have to keep our eyes on that and what Safford does. Not that a lot of you are going to hop on a plane to go there, but I can understand it, right? You get mining people into town or they need to fly to get somewhere. I can understand the need for it, no doubt about it. Hey, Block Inc. coming back here to Phoenix. That company is formerly known as Square. They do the Square credit card processing. They're the parent company to Cash App as well. Well, Block Inc. has announced the opening of their new office over at the Bond over in Phoenix. And the new space features a product demo lab, 50 flexible workstations. It's designed to support various work styles while fostering face-to-face collaboration in Block's distributed first work environments. It's a lot of fancy words for it's an open environment, and you can work how you want, right? The office will serve as a community destination. The ambition to host regular tech meetings, partnership networking events, and even local Square seller demos up in that office space. It's also going to be close proximity, obviously, to local education institutions. So that will enable their business to foster relationships with the younger people, right? The next generation of talent coming out of school, moving up there to the Block in Phoenix, which I believe is that 24th Street and Camelback area there. The Biltmore basically is where it's at, folks. So a big company moving up into that area now as well. And then let's talk a little bit about the city of Phoenix specifically here. And this is an interesting area because, of course, a couple years ago, there was a big fight over it in terms of the Coyotes building a stadium there before they eventually moved to Salt Lake. And the city of Phoenix is pursuing a development agreement with Mortensen, right? They're a Minnesota-based real estate developer. So they're doing a prime desert land is what they're eyeing here. And this is where that you see it on the blue map there. These where Phoenix Coyotes had proposed that hockey arena for the last time before they left. Back in June, Mortensen placed the winning bid in an Arizona State Trust land auction. They paid $136 million for the 217.16 acre site. It's Scottsdale Road and north of the Loop 101 is where that's located at. Mortensen's plan for the overall site does include 5 million square feet of commercial space. And this is according to the Phoenix City Council agenda item to be discussed here tomorrow night, August 27th. The first phase of development is set to feature a 30-acre mixed-use spec office campus. The city does hope the project will help continue to trend the companies looking to set up new corporate headquarters in the Phoenix area. They want to signify a return to normal in-office business and recovery from that pandemic that is some companies are still coming out on. An initial public infrastructure development agreement with Mortensen is what's on the agenda for Phoenix City Council's meeting on August 27th. This is the first meeting following basically the summer recess, I should say, right, since the summer months. As part of this agreement, Mortensen will be in charge of master planning and developing the entire 217.16 acre site. It should include Class A office, retail, restaurants, entertainment. Will be completed throughout multiple phases up there. The first phase will be focused on new office space, It'll amount to no less than 350,000 square feet. Some of the required infrastructure improvements do include a $30 million contribution to the Maricopa County's Paradise Ridge Watch mitigation project. That $30 million will allow the project to start and remove 1,000 acres of land from the footplan. That makes it more suited for development, obviously, than building it in a wash. Mortensen would also have to make improvements to street frontage, intersection upgrades, public water and sewer main extensions, things like other regional flood plan improvements that are separate from that one mitigation project that they have to pump $30 million into already. Within 3 years of the initial public infrastructure agreement being approved, well, Mortensen will have to obtain all the public infrastructure improvement permits for phase one. They have to pay all the applicable fees for the initial phase of development and then receive the first infrastructure permit for phase one within 3 years of the approval. That might come tomorrow night at that meeting. So that space up there that's just vacant still to this day, well, looks like some development is going to finally be happening for that space coming up. And then a little fun here as well, nothing to do with business, more on the, I guess we could say the gambling side of stuff, right? But nobody did win the prize on Saturday night's Powerball. 2 tickets in Georgia and Texas, though, won $1 million. After matching all 5 white balls, there were also 26 tickets that won 550,000 prizes. 5 tickets won 150,000 prizes on Saturday night in terms of the winnings there. But what does that mean? Well, the next drawing is tomorrow night. It's going to be an estimated jackpot of $850 million before taxes. And it could grow even larger and larger into one of the largest jackpots in history if there's no winner tomorrow night either. So this is going to move quickly, folks. So pay attention to that. You can't win if you don't play. That's still the Lotto's motto. I don't even know. Wednesday's drawing is already lined up to be the 7th largest Powerball jackpot in history. By the way, because I looked it up, the last time the Powerball was won to get to this point, 37 drawings ago. Yes. A California person won it back then. It was on May 31st, 2025. So now, big Powerball coming up. If it doesn't win tomorrow night, it's going to grow even bigger, get to that higher level. Just wanted to have some fun with that and bring it to your attention out there. And hey, maybe you'll be looking at this show way different when you win that $815 million jackpot, right? Be looking for investment stuff. And always don't forget to tip your favorite television host. We'll be back tomorrow, folks, with McCollum on Business, Wednesday edition, live at 11 o'clock. Come and join me, would you? Of course, the main event, 8 to 10 a.m. Tomorrow, Pit Stop comes up as well on demand here at Robat TV. Tomorrow afternoon as well. Well, we'll see you tomorrow, folks. Have a great night. Glad you survived the storm. See if another one comes in tonight. Have a great night, everyone.